Well, hello there. You may be wondering, what's the best ceiling paint that Benjamin Moore currently produces? I'm going to tell you, and it's technically not even a ceiling paint. I'll explain why right now.
I've seen the fruits of a labor. What I have, I built with my own hands.
Yo, what's cracking, folks? Jeremy Vassar here with Practical Painting. We are professional painters here to help you with your various painting endeavors, and in this video I've got another paint review for you. I'll be going over Super Hide from Benjamin Moore. It's actually a wall paint, but I consider it to be one of the best ceiling paints that Benjamin Moore currently produces. So this is it. This is the Super Hide. Bang! Super Hide flat. This again is technically a wall paint. It does come in a variety of other sheens. I'm talking about the flat variety today, which I will get into in a second. So for over the last 2 years, we've been experiencing a variety of product shortages, particularly if you are a Sherwin-Williams painter, which I happen to be. I use a lot of their products. I use a lot of other products too from Benjamin Moore and a couple other manufacturers, but when you don't have the products you need, it will force you to then try some other things, and that's, we've been trying a bunch of stuff over the last couple years just to see what else works, and what we've been using a lot of Benjamin Moore products. I reviewed the waterborne ceiling paint ultra flat from Benjamin Moore in the last video. If you want to take a looky-loo at that, I will link to it up here. But I had some gripes with that product, which I'll probably hit on during the course of this video. And I reached out to a buddy of mine, Chris, who's a really good painter, and I know he's been using Benjamin Moore stuff for a while now, and I was asking him, what ceiling paint does he use, and he said he had gone and used the waterborne for a while, had some trouble with it, and then he suggested checking this out. Also, for those that may have gripes with using a wall paint on the ceiling, it's actually really common, particularly amongst professional painters, to do that. We've been doing that for a while, particularly back in the day when the ceiling paint formulations were hot garbage. And usually the ceiling paints were too thin, they splattered like crazy, you didn't get good coverage. There was a variety of issues with kind of traditional, what was marketed as ceiling paint. So that's changed a little bit with some recent products that have come out, but even, this was like 10 years ago, we were using, from Sherwin-Williams, we were using the ProMar 400 flat on the ceilings, which was, again, a wall paint, but it had the things we were looking for with coverage, and just the formulation was really good for ceilings. And we used that for a really long time until they released the ProMar ceiling paint, which was basically like a very similar formulation to that ProMar 400. In any event, it's not uncommon for painters to try wall paints in different applications and to even try different types of paint on different surfaces that are not necessarily intended for. But anyway, that kind of lends us to where we're at right here with this particular product. And I'm going to review it on the 5 elements that I review ceiling paints on. So we will start with number 1. A slight caveat before I get to number 1, and I always say this, this product is for interior ceilings, so this would be any ceiling in your house that is in a room that does not have a water element in it that's producing steam, which means this should not be used in a bathroom that's got a shower or a tub in it that's going to produce any moisture. For that, you want to use something that's got mildew and mold resistant built into it. So that would be from Sherwin-Williams, the Emerald and Duration line of paints, or from Benjamin Moore, their Bath and Spa line. So I always kind of say that in the beginning of these, but just something to reiterate. I always kind of like chime on about that. Anyways, so if you have an interior ceiling in your house, so your kitchen, bedrooms, hallways, main rooms, family rooms, whatever, this would be the type of product that you would use on it. Again, it's a latex-based paint, so soap and water cleanup, and again, this is the flat variety. So, on to number 1 is coverage. What I'm looking for in a ceiling paint is for it to cover in 2 coats, and generally I expect the ceiling to be probably a white or an off-white already, and if this is a some variety of white, that it would cover in 2 coats. That's really what I'm looking for. And again, I understand I'm not asking too much of it. If it's a really extreme color change, then I would expect to have to do more coats or use some sort of primer. But with this product, 2 coats, no problem at all. We use 1/2-inch rollers. This is the Ultra Finish from Purdy. We also use the White Dove 1/2-inch. This happens to be a 9-inch. We use the 14-inch varieties as well. 9-inch refers to it this way. 14 would be a little bit like out like that. Anyways, so that's what we're kind of putting on. That's what we're putting the product on the ceilings with, and then generally I'm cutting in with a 2.5-inch Corona Cortez, so that's my favorite brush of all time. But that goes on really well, and again, 2 coats will do you, so that's really all I'm asking for in a decent ceiling paint. Number 2 is thickness. There's kind of a Goldilocks zone for thickness for ceiling paint. You don't want it to be too thin because it just runs down the brush like crazy. So when you're cutting something in, it'll kind of come down the heel and get onto your hands and stuff, which is really annoying. And if it's too thick, then it takes forever to cut in. I didn't used to think that was a big issue until I used the Ultra Flat, the waterborne ceiling paint from Benjamin Moore. It just would cut in way too slow. So this is just the right amount of thickness. If you're used to using the Promar ceiling paint from Sherwin-Williams, this is kind of the closest thing that I've found in the Benjamin Moore line to that. So it's right in the good threshold of thickness for what I'm looking for in a good ceiling paint. The cut-ins go pretty quickly, and it rolls fine once you soak the roller in. It spreads pretty well. Moving on to number 3 is Splatter. And Splatter just means how much paint is getting kicked off that roller as you're rolling. Generally, ceilings tend to be above you, and so when you are rolling, as the roller spins, it's going to kick off little droplets of paint, and then that's going to get on whatever's underneath, which usually is the painter or the floor or furniture or whatever. So there's really no way to avoid splatter completely. I understand that. We're just looking for a reasonable amount, and whenever you are painting a ceiling, you should have everything tarped off. Just so you don't mess up your house or someone else's home or wherever it happens to be that you're painting. So this splatters a reasonable amount. It's kind of what I would expect from a decent ceiling paint. It is nowhere near as much as the waterborne ceiling paint, which again makes no sense because that's super thick, and this is thinner than that, but it stays on the roller better, so whatever the formulation is. And I've also tried this with multiple different types of rollers as well. So I've used 3/8, 1/2 inch, and then different types of 1/2 inch rollers, and it's in a tolerable range, which again is what I'm looking for. I don't feel like I'm coated in paint when I'm done using it, and my hands aren't completely covered with it as well. Number 4 is sheen/finish, and when I'm talking about sheen, I'm just talking about the level of shine in the paint. When people have gripes about putting a wall paint on the ceiling, a lot of times it's because wall paints, even if they're listed as flat, will generally have more sheen to it than like an ultra flat or a dead flat ceiling paint. So you get a little more light reflecting off of the ceiling, which most of the time in an interior application, you really want most people want a really, what's called like a soft finish on the ceiling where it's absorbing all the light, it's not bouncing light around the room, and that's what looks really nice. It also hides any of the imperfections in the ceiling. It's the look that most people are going for on an interior ceiling. You really want it to be flat. It tends to aesthetically be the most pleasing to the eye. And that's kind of what you're going to see in any high-end painting, and again, why people want a dead flat or ultra flat finish. I haven't had any issues with that. This fall, I think because it's got this. It lends itself to being touched up easily. I think because they wanted it to touch up easily in a commercial sense, the sheen is really nice. So it is really, really flat. Maybe not as flat as the ultra flat or something like that, but it's good. It's exactly what, again, I would look for and how I like my ceilings to look when I'm done with them. With the finish quality, you don't see any lap marks, which means you don't see where the roller has overlapped itself, as long as you did a reasonable job of applying it in the first place. And also, you don't get any what's called picture framing, which means, like if you cut in like your ceiling, and then I'm gonna mime this whole thing out, and then you roll into your cut lines. Picture framing means you can see where the roller has gone into your cut lines, and then it looks like like a picture frame. So when it's actually a nice flat ceiling paint, you don't get any of that. It just looks like one, it looks like one uniform finish and one uniform surface, which is what we're looking for. So this product finishes really well, and we've used this product in a really dark gray. I think that's actually what's probably left in this can. and that worked out fine. We didn't have any issues with it as well. Sometimes you can run into problems when you tint this type of paint a deeper color, and you might experience more of the picture framing or lap marks or things like that, but have not experienced that just yet. So I've been happy with that, and again, our clients have been happy, and we put this in a very nice home that we worked in recently. So the finish quality needed to be top notch. So we were very happy with it that way. Also, what's nice is if you decide to go with this product in your house, say you did white ceilings everywhere and you bought a little bit extra, if you had to go back and touch something up, say you had a repair later, or maybe you had a bathroom flooded and you had to get your ceilings repaired, something like that. That happens all the time. This does tend to touch up really well. So you might not actually have to redo a whole ceiling to get things to blend in well, particularly if it's a small spot. But that's something to consider, and something I always kind of am for as far as like home ownership. You want to make your job easier in the future as well. And lastly, number 5 is cost. Couple things. You got to pay attention to when this video was made, so I am not sure how much this product is going to cost in the future. But as of this video, I'll kind of give you a range for what you should be paying for it. The other caveat is that Benjamin Moore does not have unified pricing. If you look on their website, you're going to see whatever price for this. And then each store is actually an individual franchise. Sometimes a company will own several stores, but they don't have unified pricing across all of their stores because, again, they're all individually owned. So you do see quite a disparity between pricing of certain products. So I'm just going to give you a range of what I've seen typically. You're going to pay around $18 to $25 a gallon for this product, which is pretty good for a decent, like, high-end ceiling paint. It's kind of I find that to be the sweet spot. If you go any cheaper than that, you're going to run into, like, usually they're really thin, they don't cover well, and all the stuff I kind of mentioned earlier. But that 18 to 25 range is pretty solid. I find that to be fairly consistent. You can also find this product. We haven't had any sourcing issues. Sometimes a Benjamin Moore store won't carry this because it's a little bit more of a commercially oriented paint. But if you request it, a lot of times they can get it in from one of their other stores or their distributor, or you can call around to find another Benjamin Moore that carries it. It's a fairly common product, so you should be able to find some. And that's just good to know with that. And in comparison, the waterborne ceiling paint from Benjamin Moore, which is kind of like their flagship, it's supposed to be like their high-end ceiling paint, it's like $45 a gallon on average. It could be plus or minus $5 in either direction, but to me that's way too expensive for ceiling paint. Where particularly when this product exists, just most people don't kind of know about it because, again, it's a wall paint, so you may not have tried it. So anyway, that's just good to know for comparison. 18 to 25 bucks a gallon is a solid price, and that gets 2 thumbs up for me for that reason. With all that in mind, this is currently our go-to ceiling paint from Benjamin Moore. If you have some interior ceilings to paint for yourself and you want to give a solid product from Benjamin Moore a try, I would highly recommend giving Super Hide Interior Flat a go. I don't think you'd be disappointed. And that's going to do it all for me, folks. If you found this video helpful in any way, shape, or form, consider hitting that like and subscribe button. And until next time, y'all take it easy, work smart, and have a good one. Peace.
Amazing.